It goes without saying that Caitlin Clark has been absolutely incredible. It was obvious she was going to be a successful point guard in her rookie year, but just in year one, she's already one of the best players in the WNBA. She's leading the league in assists. If her current assist average holds, it would be the 5th highest of all time. She already broke the record for most assists recorded in a single game when she had 19 against Dallas. She is averaging over 37 points scored or assisted per game, which is on pace to be a WNBA record. No rookie has ever recorded a triple-double before this season. Caitlin Clark has 2 already, and the season is still going. If you just look at her post-Olympic break stats, they get even more ridiculous. Caitlin Clark is averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists since the break. Everything I mentioned isn't even half of all the records she's broken. But above all else, her playing has led to winning. The Indiana Fever were the 3rd worst team in the league last year, and haven't made the playoffs since 2016. But now they have already clinched a spot in the playoffs, and after the Olympic break, you can make a legitimate argument they are a top 3 team in the league. These accomplishments are just purely basketball. The financial impact she had on the WNBA could be a video in itself. The only real negative has been her turnovers. She leads the league with an average of 5.6 turnovers per game, but I think that's more than a fair trade-off considering all the other positives she has brought the Fever. Caitlin Clark's dominance begs the question: is she the greatest rookie of all time? I'm going to break down this question into multiple parts. We'll first go over if she's the best rookie in the last 5 years, the last 10 years, then eventually, if she's the greatest rookie ever. If we are only looking at the past 5 years, it's not really close. The only real competition is Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston's Rookie of the Year season is incredibly slept on. She's the only rookie to ever lead the WNBA in field goal percentage, and if you compare her numbers to any other rookie post player since 2020, she would beat out all of them. It's difficult to compare Caitlin Clark's rookie season to Aaliyah Boston's, from the simple fact Caitlin benefits from Aaliyah Boston's presence. But I think it's fair to say Caitlin Clark takes the edge here. Aaliyah Boston was more efficient and was a better defender, but the gap between the amount of offense Caitlin Clark generates for her team compared to Aaliyah is monumental. Combine that with the fact with Aaliyah Boston, the Fever were still one of the worst teams in the league, while Caitlin made them a playoff team. Caitlin Clark definitely has the edge here. As I mentioned earlier, the other rookie seasons don't really compare. Crystal Dangerfield, Ryan Howard, and Nafisa Collier all had great Rookie of the Year seasons, but not one of them made an all-WNBA team. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is a lock for that award. So in other words, Caitlin is the best rookie in the last 5 years. But what about the 10-year mark? That discussion gets a little more complicated. A case could be made for A'ja Wilson, but I believe Breanna Stewart's rookie season is a more suitable comparison. This is because Stewie was able to elevate her team into the playoffs and make an all-WNBA team her rookie season. Both are things Caitlin Clark will accomplish unless something extremely weird happens. During her first year, Breanna Stewart averaged 18 points, 9 rebounds, and just under 2 blocks. This was enough to make the all-WNBA second team and vault the Seattle Storm into the playoffs. The statistical averages appear to clearly be in Caitlin Clark's favor, but when you compare the stats relative to other players at the time, that's where it gets more nuanced. Breanna Stewart was top 10 in 3 statistical categories, while Caitlin is only top 10 in 2 of them. I think it's closer than Caitlin Clark versus Aaliyah Boston, but I would still give Caitlin Clark the edge. As good as Breanna Stewart was, her team was still below 500. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark made the Indiana Fever an above 500 team for the first time since 2017. But why exactly is this so impressive? It's impressive because Indiana lost 9 of their first 11 games. But once Caitlin started playing better, it completely turned their season around. She's averaging 25, 6, and 9 after the Olympic break. Because of this, Indiana has won 8 out of their last 11 games. Technically, they are above 500, but they are much better than that right now. Post-Olympic break, they look like one of the most dangerous teams in the WNBA. While I don't think it's a huge gap, this is why I give Caitlin Clark the edge, which would make her the best rookie in the last 10 years. But what about for all time? Caitlin Clark is a generational player. She has made a lot of commentators and players look very silly with how well she has played. She has brought a level of popularity to the WNBA that never would have been possible without her. But the Caitlin Clark and Candace Parker comparisons need to stop. Caitlin Clark is having an incredible season but it took her some time to establish herself as one of the elite players in the WNBA. For Candace, it only took one game to assert her dominance. In her first game, she dropped 34 points, 12 rebounds, and recorded 8 assists. And this was not a Michael Carter-Williams situation, where a player had a spectacular first game, then fizzled out after that. During her rookie season, she averaged 18.5 points, 9.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. She was ridiculously efficient as well. She shot 52% from the field and 42% from the three-point line. At the time, she was the only person to ever win MVP as a rookie, and since then, no rookie has been able to recreate that. Even if you completely ignore the MVP accolade and purely look at their player performance, Candace Parker still has the edge. Candace Parker cannot compete with the amount of points that Caitlin Clark generates per game. A combination of 19 points and 8.5 assists a game is something we'll probably never see from another player ever again. But Candace Parker has a massive advantage in terms of efficiency and defense. Candace Parker shot a ridiculous 52% from the field, compared to Caitlin's 42%. Yes, Candace Parker is a post, but she takes far more jump shots than the average big. But that's not what makes Candace a better rookie than Caitlin Clark. What makes Candace Parker a better rookie is that the gap between them defensively is much bigger than the gap between them offensively. It doesn't matter what defensive metrics you use, Candace Parker was a far superior defender than Caitlin Clark. They average the same amount of steals per game, but Candace almost triples Caitlin's block per game average. If you use advanced metrics, Parker's defensive win shares are almost 5 times higher, and her defensive rating is 17 points better. No rookie has matched Candace Parker's combination of defensive and offensive brilliance, which is why she is the greatest rookie ever. An argument that some people use against Candace Parker is that she was only so dominant because the players were worse back then. The idea is that she would not have been an MVP level player if you took the same player in 2008 and put her in today's league. This mindset is the equivalent of when Ja Morant said he would cook Michael Jordan. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. A basic eye test would tell you that Candace would be dominant in any time period. There's absolutely no reason to believe today's WNBA players would be able to stop a 6'4" player who has guard handles, elite mid-range, three-point shooting, and is athletic enough to dunk the basketball. Breanna Stewart and Sabally are 2 players with a very similar skill set and size to Candace, and they are top 5 players in the league. And keep in mind their athleticism isn't nearly as high as a prime Candace Parker's. If this isn't enough to convince you that Candace would be just as successful in today's era, just go look up the Aces playing the Chicago Sky in 2021. A 35-year-old Candace Parker, who was well past her prime and battling several injuries, cooked Asia Wilson multiple times, the best post player in the league. Tina Charles is almost averaging a double-double at 35 years old. Nafisa Collier at 6'1" is unguardable in the post. If they can't guard Nafisa Collier, how are they supposed to guard someone who is more athletic, taller, and is a better outside shooter? If anything, Candace Parker would be more dominant in a less physical league, so that's completely irrelevant. In my opinion, for Caitlin to pass Candace's rookie season, she has to do one or two things. Either A, win the MVP award, which is something I will be making a video about soon. It seemed like Asia would completely run away with it, but the gap is closing, mainly because Asia's teammates are selling. Or B, take the Indiana Fever to the finals. No rookie has ever done this while being the best player on the team, including Candace Parker. Caitlin Clark is a generational player who is all but guaranteed to win multiple MVPs in the future, but she was not better than Candace Parker in their first year. But that's it for this video. I'm sure it will be controversial, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.